We've all seen photography competitions, but have you ever seen 25 photographers competing in the desert for the title of Legends? They had 8 models, 3 horses, and 1 Ferrari, and only 5 minutes to create that legendary shot. This is the ProPrints Invitational. I'm your host, Megan, and welcome to the finals. Our 3 judges are Yulia Penchenko, professional floral portrait and boudoir photographer. She is an educator and the founder of Believe in Boudoir, the most complete boudoir photography platform, and she is a YouTube sensation. Maria Arellano, fine arts portrait photographer. She's the creator of Maribella Portrait Academy, a photographer's education experience. Maria specializes in all things social, known for her relatability, authenticity, and women empowerment. Jose Francisco Perez, the executive producer of the Legends competition, general manager of ProPrints Lab. Jose isn't just passionate about the professional photography industry, he is obsessed. Why did we do this? At ProPrints, we're continuously looking for ways to improve and enable professional photographers to advance in their careers. We want to foster the industry to evolve and encourage professional photographers to achieve excellence. What's at stake? All competitors will receive a 40 by 60 Canvas Wrap Pro of the image of their choice. There will be 9 total honorable mentions that will receive $250 in ProPrints credits. Third place will be featured in Professional Photography magazine and a $250 ProPrints credit. Second place will receive a full-page feature on Professional Photography magazine and a $500 ProPrints credit. And the grand prize, a billboard printed and displayed in the photographer's hometown. A full-page feature on Professional Photographers magazine, $1,000 in ProPrints credits, and a full studio lighting setup provided by Kikoto. Homespun Hearts is selecting a winner to receive a handcrafted set of wings. Judges, are you ready?
Professional photography, I think, is very special because photography is an art, but professional photographers, you have to be both a commercial success and artistic success for your work for your business to really succeed. So I'm going to be really looking at that aspect of, will the client like this? Will the composition, how does it work together? That's really what I'm looking for. I mean, I've seen hundreds of thousands of professional images throughout my 13 years in the industry. So that's what I'm looking for.
I'm looking at posing, composition, lighting, and colors. I want to see how all those elements contribute to the final image. I want to see them in balance. So very balanced and cohesive image, that's what is important to me. So that's what I'm going to look at.
So my approach to judging this competition, when I'm looking for a legend, I want to see a lion. I want to see somebody that pushed themselves beyond their limit. I want to see artistic interpretation. I know that technical abilities are important, and I know that that's part of what we're going to be doing today. However, I think what's most important to me is going to be the storytelling and the impact. Am I drawn? Am I moved? What's your emotion? And also, did you take some risks? You know, I think legends in all art from the past into now oftentimes were criticized by the people that were, you know, at the top at the time because they were different and they stood out. And sometimes people were uncomfortable. So I want to see that. I don't just want to see a pretty image that's well lit and balanced. I think I want to see more. Wow, you can tell that this person took a lot of time in creating the angelic focus. And I can see the inspiration in that. It reminds me of like the cathedral water stain or windows, right?
The ceilings, right? The ceilings.
Yeah.
I like this story. Yeah, there is a story. It's the whole event is pretty much in one image.
Honestly, I mean, photography is a religion. Like, so to me, like, it gives me that impression. Like, people are so passionate about, you know, what we do. And the interesting part is that the subjects here are the actual photographers.
Right. Yes.
And it's
I really love the story of this image. What do you think about how the image was composed?
I'm not a big fan of the frame. I would have chosen a different frame.
You would choose frame by ProPrints.
Well,
I agree.
well, I think this was. I believe this might have been
frame.
an illustration or artificially generated. I will have actually tried to get a real frame for it. I don't like the reddish tint. I mean, maybe a gold. But I mean, it's interesting. It's definitely creative. I mean, when we're talking creativity, this is it. That somebody's really thinking outside the box, and this is by far one of the most creative ones that we have seen so far.
Drama.
Yeah, lots of drama.
Yeah.
But I like the mood of the images, implementation of the images, lighting. It looks good.
Now, I do think here, as they're printed, I think they're coming off a little bit dark, which I think is an issue a lot of times for photographers because we're editing behind really bright screens, you know, so we really do have to try to calibrate to our printing labs there. Seeing it digitally, it looks a little bit brighter, right? So that middle one with that couple, oh my God, the story, the drama, I love this photo.
I love the posing a lot, and I love how the person actually used 2-point lighting. I think there is a key light and there is a rim light. I like how the arm has a beautiful rim light. Just to it make the muscles kind of the muscle
very defined.
Very defined, yeah.
But very little to critique in these images, to be quite frank. I mean, everything's really, really good.
The image on the right, I feel like it's a little bit dark to me, but again, maybe that's just how, I mean, it's the photographer's vision. Maybe that's how he wanted it.
I do agree. I feel like if we could pull up a little bit more midtones here just to kind of balance out those transitions. Like, I love the drama in between the darks and the highlights, but just a little bit more midtones. Whereas like in the middle, you know, you see more of their face and their skin, and I think that that's why it doesn't look to be as dark. And so even though there's darkness all around them, it's still balanced by the center where we're drawn there. But with like the image on the right with the horse, it's like there's really harsh shadows right here underneath the chin and going down. So we're losing a lot of part of her body.
And the highlights on the horse as well.
Now, question, do you think that these skies were there, or do you think they're composites?
Composites,
yeah.
Well, it doesn't really take away from it, I think.
Yeah, and I think especially the image on the left, that sky goes really well with an overhanging view.
Clouds, yeah.
Well, let's talk about composites for a second, right?
Oh yeah.
What is? I mean, how do we feel about composites in the industry? What do you guys? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about composites overall in competitions?
For me personally, I think that if it doesn't add to the image, then it doesn't have to be there. You know, a lot of times we're deciding on even the composition or cropping. I think that you cover it. See what happens if you remove it. But if it's not adding to the story, you really don't need to add it. And then it's very important that you see where your light is coming from, because that is a dead giveaway.
I love to see images that are created beautifully straight in camera. I think that's the talent. So you see differently, you capture it different way, and it's more difficult rather than sit at the computer, sleep on it for a week or two, and then put it all together, especially if you're not using images that you captured. For example, you add elements that were not captured by you. I mean, I love composes. They look amazing. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's more difficult to... I mean, it's... cannot say it's more difficult, but I would love to see how people can create final, beautiful images straight.
Well, it is a Legends competition. What can you do with what's given to you rather than,
yes, that's true.
I'll just fix it later in post, right?
Also remember that to get that perfect shot, they didn't have the time. They don't know where they got on a bus. We drove half an hour to the middle of nowhere to take this place, right? This sky wasn't particularly pretty, to be quite honest. So the question, did this photographer make the right decision of doing this to just get it right?
As long as they add to the overall image and story, yeah. I absolutely love the image on the right. I love the colors. I love the leading lines. I love her look. There is some of the details I think are lost in the outfit, I guess, so it's underexposed, but overall I love the composition and I love the color grading on this image.
It's very nice. I mean, I think it's almost like a magazine ad for a vehicle, right? There is one thing though that I think it ruins it for me, and that is that sticker on the car.
Yeah,
we see that.
If just that quick fix would have taken this money much farther away.
And that's like a 2-second fix of just like the healing brush tool right there.
Amazing.
You know, it's so impactful. There's definitely a story there. I feel like she's racing, you know.
I can't even
like feel the various, you know.
I can't even feel the motion.
Yeah.
Also, it's still, but.
And then if we were to get like really picky, then the other thing is like we've lost her hand. I think you just see a little bit of her knuckles at the top. So just like the angle, just adjusting it a little bit. That out of the three,
that would be
I think
that
is such a great image.
So the image on the left, great portrait, but the element of the horse is missing. So what is there? Is it a horse? Is it a
We see bangs, and then it's out of focus too. So again, was the horse necessary there for this portrait, right? Like, is it a safe shot?
Mm-hmm. But colors, I love the colors. They're very new, not new, but they're natural. Yeah, natural colors. They're not overdone.
And the one in the car is somewhat original, I believe, because we haven't really seen anybody use the Ferrari that we had in there.
Yeah.
So especially inside the Ferrari, I mean, so far it's the only one that has really utilized the Ferrari in a very original way. So very good on that side.
Yeah, the set is great.
I love the images here. I love the color grading. Absolutely beautiful, very dramatic. I mean, there's so much, right? Because there's black and white, and there are different colors. The sky looks a little unnatural per se, but as a client, I would love to be in these images personally. But is the sky correct? I mean, I'm not an expert on this.
I think it's overdone a little bit. It's
there's a lot of saturation.
Saturated.
Yeah.
And also, if it's a sunset, then why the light on her skin is too hard, like harsh lighting. So it's not in balance. That's what I see. I like the posing though. I like how she's
definitely
stewarding and the fabrics are flowing. It's very beautifully done, but the editing, I think it's a little bit overweighted.
You know, that black and white image to me is so strong and powerful. I love the angle of looking at her from below. So it makes her otherworldly. I love how she's like extending out of the frame.
Look at her arm.
Yeah, but I don't think that takes away from the image, though. No, it doesn't.
It does.
Careful, Julia. Maria is a former wrestler.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I forgot. You have some skills.
Sorry. I just had to show you right there. I mean, I think the story...
I'll be careful next time. Yeah, you should have reminded me earlier.
Don't do that again.
All right.
But it's a very good set of images. Very strong. It's very interesting.
I love the black and white. Just don't beat me up.
It's interesting because sometimes there's technical, and then it's just an image that is just striking, right? Sometimes, where do we go, right?
I think it's striking. I think...
2 against 1. You won.
Sorry.
I guess we're coming back to our discussion about composites.
Heated debate.
Well, I love composites. Don't get me wrong.
This is where frustration comes in too, because we were having this discussion, and she says compositors and the editors always win these.
Yes, always.
And you're like, this is a photography competition.
Like, you have to be a photographer, not the editor. You know, some people, they just photograph and then outsource
But
editing.
as far as we know, this person not only took the photos but also did the editing.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the
Right? And this is so we know for sure that this was done by the same.
Okay, so here's one of my issues with this set, because we had this discussion earlier before where maybe it would have been better for people to just choose to submit 1 or 2 of their strongest images.
Yeah.
Because I can't help but judge the set, and while I feel like the one on the left and the middle one, oh my gosh, that middle one belongs in a magazine. It reminds me of that movie, The Cell. Otherworldliness, that dreamy, like you're in dreamland and it's so creepy. You know which movie I'm talking about? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Jennifer Lopez.
Right. But then the one on the right, like it just, I'm not feeling the one on the right. Like the white wings are so bright and so strong,
And
that
the
it's
element
almost
of the
distracting
hands
to me.
look like-
And then the hands are missing.
Yeah,
They're
hands
hidden.
missing.
Yeah.
I hate when hands are missing.
But don't because these are absolutely breathtaking.
Right, they are beautiful images, but see, because the other 2 are so strong to me, and especially that one in the middle, that I'm distracted by the one on the right. Even like in the pose where she's posing that back leg, we've lost so much of her leg. It's distorted her foot, so it looks like she's a very thin, like calf and into her ankle. So it's distracting to me. There's also like
And the lock.
yeah, there's like a lock on it, and it's right underneath her hip where the wing is. So it's distracting to me. Whereas the other 2, there's definitely a story. Storm, I feel the storm. I feel her walking on clouds. I think it's one of the best poses of this model.
For this model, I agree. I really love how she posed this model. It's very natural to her. Maybe she is a runway model. That's why it was very natural way of posing, and she looks so confident. She looks gorgeous in this image. I agree. That posing for her was just perfect. Like, she's walking confidently into the frame. And I love these 2 images. I agree that it's better to submit only 1 because one image can be very strong and another can be technically implemented poorly. And then
for this round, we're judging them basically on the whole set, right? To decide what's moving forward. But at the end, when we go to head, are we judging on the 1 photo, or are we going to be judging on the whole set? That's the question, because this is the legend. What makes you a legend?
Right.
Is it that you can produce 1 amazing photo?
I think
Or is it that you're consistent?
consistent.
There's a lot of work that takes place to make these images, right? I feel like the middle one he started, and then moved to the second one, and then not enough time to finish
So does
the third
that
one.
make you a legend? Does that make you a legend? That's the...
Well, but we know that if this photographer had more time, the third one could potentially be just a...
But that's not the point. This is a competition for legend. Honestly, when you have the ability to enter 3 powerful images or just 1 powerful images, I'm kind of not understanding why this person submitted. To me, it's the same image.
Same image.
Practically the same image 3 times.
We had so many sets and so many beautiful models. I really don't know why would she do that. And what bothers me the most is the tight cropping.
Yeah, I feel like maybe they weren't inspired by the elements. They weren't into it. I don't know. That's a feeling I'm getting. almost like an afterthought. The strongest image for me would probably be the one on the right. Oh yeah, I like how the pose is
so close,
but it's
to the
so close, especially right here at the top. It's so close. Yeah,
and that the framing is bothering me a lot.
Right.
I would say the left image with the movement, the fabric moves really nicely, but you also lose the shape.
And then all you see is the bottom.
Model.
Like, it's like all I see is her panty line right here. Just a picture of her hips in the front, you know?
Right.
So I find that distracting.
I do like the colors of the fabric. I like the skin tones. But there's too much contrast between the beautiful fabric and the background is not really working together, maybe for me, or you think that's, what do you guys think of that contrast?
I'm honestly mostly distracted by the composition here.
Composition.
Yeah, that's the main thing. So
Yeah, because I mean, there were no limitations, right? You could have a panoramic, you could have a tall image. I mean, if you can just add a little bit more sky.
right.
You could just step back and capture a little bit more, and that would be much better.
Yeah,
because the colors are nice.
This is a no for me.
Have to agree.
Agree.
I'm honestly a little bit disappointed because every photographer that was invited to this competition, we know they're really, really great. We've seen their body of work. They are absolutely great photographers. I think this time was played too safe. What do you guys think?
This is a Legends competition. Like, you need to be submitting your best work. We're not looking at your body of work. We know that everyone is good or they would not be here. But be legendary and don't play it safe. Show us your best work. What makes you a legend?
Yeah, think outside of the box. What I like about these three images, they're nicely color graded. I love the colors of the images. What bothers me a lot, the image on the right, it's cropped.
Yes.
The way that half of her leg is out of the frame, but there are a lot of negative space on the other side. So it's composition-wise, it's a little bit weird, but
it's very strong. It's a very strong.
I love the tones
and the tone
and the pose. But if that leg was there, that would give a completely different feeling of the whole overall image. So that was a big mistake of cropping in that tight.
When I look at the set of three, I think my immediately, I love the color tones. Like you said, I love the shadows and highlights. I like the drama. The posing, I think, is great. However, there's issues with composition for me.
Yeah.
And even, like you said, like with the posing, you know, the horse looking one way, her looking the other way with that supernova, you know, the edge of that image is so close to its nose.
Of course.
To the colors.
Possibly if they would have moved the frame towards the middle, it might have been more balanced. But right now they're both opposite ends. The image in the middle, we're losing half the body.
I think the flipping of the fabric was extra, so we don't really see the pose. The arm is coming out of nowhere, and there is the big piece of the fabric that is you don't need it there.
Maybe decide either bring the fabric all the way down, completely cover the body, and then we just see the face, or show more of the body. But right here, we're kind of in between.
I mean, I really love that cosmic dreaming image. I do wish that was that small change. I mean, she looks like she's in the surface of the moon,
it's
right?
Gorgeous.
It's just beautiful.
The colors of the desert.
And the texture. I feel like this is one of the only images that showed us the crumbling.
Right. The environment is truly shown here.
Another element that bothers me is the fabric that she's laying on. I think under the head it's extra. So if that was under her body, that would be different. And again, that crop, oh my goodness.
Crop.
Yeah. That would be a great image.
I really like these images. I mean, the horse, the emotion in the horse, and I really like that about this image. I think, I don't know, how do you feel about color?
To me, I think it's too warm. Her skin tones are very orangish and very yellowish, so that's what is bothering me, but that could be the style of the photographer.
Yeah, and there's like a little hot spot right here on the feather girl. But I really do love the composition. I love how her face is sticking through the wings. Like she actually incorporated the wings into the image.
And what about the composition of the image on the right? That the horse is just like the one part of, or just the face
It's
of
like
the
you
horse?
decapitated the horse.
Yeah,
right
so
there.
that's what bothered me. But the image in the middle, I think composition on that one is really nice.
See, I feel like the weight, that image would have been perfect if we just extended the composition out and saw more of the neck of the horse, because the way the horse is looking into the camera and then she's looking at the camera, it's like it's staring into my soul.
Right. The ear looks like she's having horse ear.
Right.
But
It's kind of growing, but it's not bothering me.
Yeah, I like the patterns on the right image.
Yeah.
The elements of the patterns, the framing. Yeah, it's nice. I love the colors of these images. Very balanced, beautifully done. I also like the posing of each model.
Posing is very balanced, very beautiful composition. Soft, right?
I mean, Mother of Dragons, the one on the right. I don't even think you need the dragons, right? I think it's such a strong portrait, right? That maybe the strike photo, but I mean, it's a nice photo. I mean, you can see the dragons from the far. I mean, you can tell there was, once. Yeah, absolutely. Now, what do we think about the one on the left?
So my biggest issue just with the set is on the left, there's no texture or contrast in the dancers. So the pose is beautiful, the composition is great, but like you can see that there's no shadows or any, depth within the body. So there's no three-dimensionality for me. So it makes them flat.
Yeah, I see some shadows. No, I don't know. I love the posing on that. It's so difficult to achieve perfect posing in motion. Especially they were dancing and the way she's holding the hair. I know it's very hard to get that perfect pose. So I think she did really good with posing on all these three images.
So do you think these images are strong enough to move them into the top 12?
I still think about this skin here. For the one on the left. I mean,
I would move it to top 12. I like them.
So this is one we're going to have to debate.
We have to debate this one. Yes.
I like the image on the right. It's a beautiful composition. I like the tones. It's very balanced image. I like the position of the horse, composition, everything. I love it.
The pose is beautiful.
The pose is beautiful. The image on the left, the horse looks completely flat.
Yes.
The background also is
I feel like if she had lowered herself a little
maybe,
bit, it would have gotten more depth.
That fabric is just like a big piece of fabric on the right. I don't know. It just, if there was no fabric, I think it would look even better. But the angle, I would say, and the overall composition and the pose for the image.
I do feel that the fabric becomes an extension of her, and that we have so much space behind the horse and no space behind the fabric. That is kind of, the framing, I think, is a little off.
Yeah, but the image on the right looks great.
Yeah, I agree.
I think all three images are very consistent. Would you agree?
There's a story. I think in all of them.
Yes. I like the image on the right. That's the best image out of those three. I'm not sure about the middle and the right one in terms of the posing, especially the middle one. The elements of the fabric on the back looks it's extra. The hair and the way she's holding it.
It's kind of like she's dropping strands of hair too.
Yeah,
so
I think there's something extra in that image. Also, the colors, the tones, I think it's a little bit desaturated.
But that is a stylistic choice.
That's true.
That could be this person's style.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, we have three images, and one is very different than the other. One is very dramatic. The other ones are so dull that there's no saturation on them. I feel like we're talking about two completely different styles, two completely different photographers. Because I feel like one's very strong and the other ones are just completely different. What do you guys think?
I agree.
I agree.
Yes. And one more thing, can I add? Do you feel like the horse looks smaller than the model on the...
Yeah.
It's nice image, but I just noticed that horse,
It's really tiny.
it looks tiny.
But I don't think it takes away from it. It could be a tiny horse.
Yes,
it could be a miniature
pony.
horse. A miniature pony.
But yeah, I love the composition.
In these 3 images, what I like is that the names actually match. I feel like the storytelling and the pose, you know?
Posing, I like the posing, yeah, on all those 3 images. What is bothering me the most is the image on the right. Those feathers, they look completely fake. And
Definitely a composite.
her face is underexposed, so that's another element. I like the pose on the left. Very powerful.
One on the left, I think, is the strongest. The one in the middle and to the right, like, the separation is not there for me. Like, for instance, the one in the middle, she's just so dark. She's just kind of blending into the background. And with the one on the right, everything is so bright, and then it's so dark on her part.
But I like the fact that the photographer tried to be different and to create a night scene during the day in the desert. So, yeah, I think we should give a credit for that.
I love the concept of the middle one. I really love the concept. For the next photographer, I really like the posing. I really like the posing. It's very dynamic, very cohesive for all 3 images. I really do like him. I think the color might be something about it. I mean, what do you guys think about the color?
I think the color of the sky is too saturated. It looks almost fake to me.
Yeah, I definitely think that these are stylistic choices, and it's very high contrast. So it's just a matter of, like, do we think it's enough? Or is it too much?
I think it's too much. At least to me, it looks too much. Too much of a contrast and saturation.
Jose, I really love your choice in models. What was your approach to choosing who was going to be our subject?
Well, it was right in the middle of WPPI, right? And most of the models were already taken by WPPI naturally. So we had to really look. Some came from a different states, but I think we really wanted to emphasize diversity in the industry, because that's something I think that matters a lot to us, and that's something we wanted to do.
And I think that you've been really consistent with that with all of the projects that you've recently done, is that you've made sure that we had diversity.
Yes.
That's appreciated.
Yeah, the models were great, and I think photographers appreciated your choice as well.
Now, regarding models, I think something we discussed earlier.
Yeah, I was actually in shock that all of these legends were there and not directing models. They were
Relying.
I actually heard them say, okay, now change your pose, or okay, move. That was...
Do your thing.
Yeah, do your thing. That was shocking to me. I know for myself, and I'm going to say for you, we look at everything down to the pinky.
Now, was it a time constraint? Is it because they didn't have time?
Yes, I think that's the time constraint. So because they were trying to move forward fast and they had limited time, they trusted the model.
That's my question, though, if that really makes you a legendary photographer, because to me, it's like spray and pray. If I get enough photos, one of them's going to be good.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel that a lot of the entries, it was that posing element that took some to the next level, and it's also what kept some behind.
Agree.
This next one, there's something about it that I really like. I think it's creative. I really like the posing. I really like the concept, but I am no expert on posing. Julia, what do you think?
The image on the left, one of her legs is missing, so that bothers me a lot. Okay. Also, the way she tossed the fabric covers half of her body, and her beautiful shapes are hidden in this image. So
I think this person took a risk, so I love that part of it. I feel like if they had committed more to it, it would have been even stronger, like go on full-on Egyptian hieroglyphic type of pose, and I think it would have been great. So if the body would have been turned more sideways, but then the face directly to the front, then I think it would have created more impact. right here, I feel like the body's 3/4 halfways, so we're not really getting that beautiful X they were going for.
I don't see S. I don't
You don't see an S. You don't really see the X, and you don't really see
the triangle.
I do see it. So, but that's just
okay.
I really like the image on the right, though. The composition. And
The one on the right tells a beautiful story.
Story.
In the desert, like that's to me is the strongest image here.
And the way the horse is posing.
That horse is posing.
Yes, right there.
yes.
With this set, definitely that middle one is probably my favorite. And one thing that I do like about this set is the fact that we actually have a portrait here. I think most of the photographers did not do that. Definitely looks like a portrait photographer.
Yeah, and I like how she is covered with or framed with the feathers.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not sure about the cropping of the image on the left. I think there is a little bit too much of a space on the bottom and not enough above her head. But I guess that was the vision of the photographer.
Yeah, I don't feel like the composition's really adding to the image as far as like the negative space being to the left. Nothing really interesting is going on there. Probably could have been a little bit of maybe like an 8x10, like a vertical shot. Might have been a little bit more interesting for me.
I do like the one in the middle with the horse. It's very dramatic. So I wish the color it was more. I don't know. The color grading was a little more dramatic. Maybe punch the color, make it black and white. But I really like how dynamic that shot is.
Yeah, that's
You
probably
love
what
black and white. Huh?
Yeah.
You love black and whites?
I love black and white.
So you like my images?
Yes.
I know which image Jose is gonna like.
Which one?
The black and white.
I love the black and white. I mean, there's so much texture. I just love it. I love everything about this image. I absolutely love it.
It is a dynamic image. I like the pose. It's definitely interesting. Honestly, that middle image though, I wish the composition was a little bit tighter. I think that the way the legs are posed is taking away from a very strong image.
Yeah, and the lighting on the one on the left. But it's a nice image. It's like a strong shadow underneath her chin, just reshapes her face. But I mean, it's.
I'm not sure with the composition of that one as well. Maybe she was more to the side, or I don't know. She's off center, but not quite center.
I love the image on the right. I would agree with you. The black and white is an amazing image with great posing. I think it looks great.
I love that the three images, to me, they tell a pretty cohesive story. I can see that there's like different characters here. That one on the left, Legion in particular, I really love it. Even, I know it's a really tight crop, but like she's stalking you and it almost feels claustrophobic. Like,
But there is a story. Like,
yeah.
I mean, the double exposure, how it takes over the entire canvas is very well framed, in my opinion. I think that's the strongest one of this set. But what do we think of the other two?
The middle one, I feel like vignetting is a little bit too much on that image. And the pose looks nice, but that little element of the fabric that goes on top of her knee creates the line that bothers me.
It's straight.
It's straight, and then if that was down, I would see the triangle, and it would make the whole pose more dynamic, more interesting. But overall, all three poses are different and all very dynamic, very interesting.
I do think the set stands out because of that. It's not the same posing that we're seeing with a lot of the images.
I feel like the image on the right is a little bit too dark to me, but maybe I'm wrong. That's what I say. What do you think?
I think it's stylistic.
It is, yeah. Cinematic, I think. You know, I like how it says, even the crop, the fact that it goes into emptiness, I think it goes with like the title, Exile, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. You and I know this would be a favorite.
Yes, absolutely.
Black and white.
The one on the right, black and white, cinematic, panoramic, black and white, dramatic, absolutely beautiful. This is my favorite from this set. Although I do believe the other two are pretty strong too.
Oh man, to me, the one on the left, that close-up, the story, it's so ethereal. I could see this on the cover of a magazine. I think it's captivating. The way she's looking into your eyes, the horse straight on, all of that to me is very captivating. Even the way the elbow is kind of framing the two faces. Yeah, I like this a lot. I feel like she's staring into my soul.
I agree with you. I like the image on the left, but I don't like the image on the right and in the middle. Although you like black and white, and I love them as well. But I don't see leg on the image on the right. Sorry, I have this problem right and left. So I don't see the leg. That bothers me a lot. And the image in the middle, her hand looks really awkward.
Yeah, I think that there's too much symmetry there with the hands like this.
How will you have posed that one instead?
Just flipping the hands
like this. Yeah.
She could even have one like this and one up here.
Yeah.
It's just so symmetrical, but then they're just kind of.
No, I would do it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice. And of course, I would show
the legs and the movement is so elegant. Like, you know, if she does this, that's fine. But just, you know, just for more interest.
This next one is really personal for me because I love frames. I mean, I go to the museums, and I'm pretty sure this person also goes to museums and spends as much time looking at the frames than the actual artwork itself. So I really do like this style, and it's very interesting because it's the juxtaposition of a very modern take on photography with traditional frames. What do you think, Maria?
I think if it was me, if I had made these choices, because I feel like it has a little bit of ghostliness, you know, with the shadows coming through. I think maybe as a set, they would have been stronger if the two on the sides were like in black and white. Kind of like you capture an old ghost out in the desert or something like that. I think that would really push the images for me to be more mystical. As it is, I'm actually very distracted by some of the color. And also I can't figure out if this was in post or if it was done in camera. Like I feel like some of the blur here with the desert goddess on the right, especially, it was so strong that it's missing some impact for me.
I personally love colors. I love how this person color graded those images. I like the tones, and the fact that it is a still image, but there is a little bit of movement. It's really fascinating. So I like this set, and all three of the images look very cohesive to me. My question is the same: was it done in camera or in post? That's really interesting. So if it was done in camera, and that's a great image.
Julia, well, here's my question. Does it really matter that it was taken on camera or done on post-production if the end result is basically the same? Does it really matter?
You're asking a purist. This is a purist here.
It is. It does matter. Because if you can done everything technically right in camera, you're amazing.
Right, but the achievement is the same. So is it different?
But it shows.
Are you a photographer or artist? Or you?
Yeah, you're technically really good, and you can implement your vision right on spot. And I think that's what differentiates a great photographer from mediocre photographer.
This is going to be a part of our decision at the end.
Yes.
Which way we starting with? Yeah.
All right.
All three images have great composition. I like the angles, and the posing is really nice as well.
Yeah, for composition and angles, I think this is a very strong set. I would say that I am most attracted to the image in the middle, which is the Take My Hand. My only issue is that back hair, the way it's being held like this, it first of all, it looks really, really tiny, and then just like a little baby hand is sticking out.
Because the person was using wide-angle lens.
Yeah.
So that's...
So how would you have corrected that? Maybe bringing the hand above him or higher?
Maybe a little bit
as opposed to like how far it is. Yeah.
But in general, it's a great image, and because her leg is closer to the camera, it looks bigger, and the hand is away from the camera.
I like the distortion.
So
I like the distortion.
It's fine. It's like interesting composition, I would say. I also like the composition of the image on the left. I like the connection.
The connection is really strong right there, and the story. I can feel the emotion in that, which is something we were definitely judging on.
And the leading lines on the image on the right are really nice. So,
oh my gosh, this is really strong submission. Yeah.
So, I mean, let's take a step back here. Some of these photographers are studio photographers, and they were taken literally in the middle of the desert. What challenge? I mean, what is the challenge? Does it really change everything for a photographer who's just doing studio photography? What are the challenges there?
The challenge, I would say, there is less consistency in light, so you have yes.
See, for me, this is where I think natural photographers have a little bit of a level up in that. I know you wouldn't agree with me, but in that, they can just show up with their equipment, and as long as they understand their light, they can create beautiful images. However, as a natural light photographer myself, I do know that I do rely in post-processing in order to correct some possible lighting issues. And then the other issue is, some people can't travel with all that equipment. That can be difficult.
So, and then we also have photographers from all kinds of, wedding, boudoir,
even like newborn photographers.
Maternity, we had maternity.
So are some photographers having a natural advantage in this competition because of that?
I think that's where the leveling of the playing field was, the fact that we threw them into an unexpected place. We gave them a limited amount of time, and you either rise to that occasion or you don't.
Yeah, that was a challenge, I believe, because if you're working mainly with just pregnant women, for example, and you're photographing someone else, so you have to adjust to that genre really quickly. I think it's challenging, but at the same time exciting to try something different and see what you can achieve in this type of situation, environment.
Perfect. Thank you.
I really like the composition on all three images. I like the angles and the leading lines. I think every single image has the leading lines that the photographer incorporated with the sky.
Yeah. And the posing. I love the posing as well.
Yeah, strong posing.
I have to say that the middle one, the fabric, I think it's the best use of the fabrics that I've seen so far.
Agree.
It just looks absolutely stunning. So that's probably one of my favorite ones, but to be quite honest, all three are very, very strong entries.
I think we're a little distracted, or at least I heard you say this as well. The sky, like how it wraps around her head right there, it's kind of distracting me from the overall balance of the image.
Yes. So the middle image and whatever is around her is kind of
pulling your eye away.
Yes, that's true. And also the position of the horse, I think, make the whole
it breaks that
image.
Line. Yeah.
Or it looks a little bit flat to me. So maybe if the position of the horse was a little bit different, it would look better. And the cropping on the image of the image on the right is, I think, very tight. So we don't have any foreground.
Yes. Ooh, this is right up my alley. It is so good to see. Yes.
I like all three images. My favorite one is the image on the left.
But don't you think it's a little bit redundant that we use two images that are like the exact same pose, almost the same composition? The only difference is one is a composite?
Yeah, I think the photographer just wanted to send both edits to show us that could be done differently, and it's up to us which one.
I personally like the one without the water.
The water.
I don't think added anything.
I do like the sky on the other one, but the water is completely unnecessary. I think it's absolutely beautiful, a beautiful portrait.
Beautiful posing overall. Yeah. I like the angles as well, and why I'm more attracted to the image on the left, I think because of the tones. I don't like overly edited images or very images with strong contrast and saturation. So I think that image looks very, very good.
Maria, will this competitor be moving forward?
Yeah, I think so. Woo! Finally, somebody used your Ferrari.
Yeah,
About time.
Yeah.
that was a good set. I wish people were using that car more often.
Now, we saw in a previous competitor who also used the Ferrari, the red sticker still there. Still there.
Oh, that's
Take the
true.
sticker out, right? It's not as obvious in this image because it's far away.
But we can still see it.
Those little details, I think, really can take points away in this competition.
Right. I really like that image on the left, the gaze or let's gaze. I think it's so beautiful. I love how she's looking away and holding onto the horse.
Yes, but don't you feel that the ear, the horse ear, it feels like it's coming out of the model's head? It's visually, so that's the first thing I saw.
You know what? Now that you say that, now I can't unsee it.
And also the crop on the image on the right is a very, very, very tight crop, I think.
It is a tight crop, but I like the mood. And the mood is
nice,
like,
yes.
I like her face.
I love the colors, particularly the green one, Dance With Me. The colors are absolutely beautiful, cinematic. I love it.
I'm not a big fan of those exaggerated colors.
You don't like the cyan and orange kind of look, but
Could be.
I love it.
I
because
mean,
love
in movies, I like them. In photos, I feel like
But what is a movie with a bunch of photos stuck together?
We're gonna have to agree to disagree on that one.
we will argue for a very long time. So
All right.
let's move forward.
Purist. We have a purist here.
This is another very interesting set of prints. I think that we saw another photographer using water, but it was digitally done. And this was very unique because we were in the desert, and I wasn't even aware of it, but apparently there was a little
Puddle.
puddle of water, a little puddle of water. And the photographer took the models all the way there to capture this shot. It's called Reflect, for obvious reason. And to me, that's the strongest one of the set. And it's really dynamic, it's really original. It really showcases this photographer. It really is looking at the environment and taking advantage of what's out there.
And that's what I was talking about. The photographer was actually looking for something different, and the photographer wanted to achieve a nice image in camera, not in post. It would be easier to take this photo and just add the water and reflection and it's done, but he wanted to be different. So he was looking for that puddle and he found it. So, but the element that is very distractive for me in this image is that the dark spot on the
bottom.
right bottom of the image, I feel like it creates unbalance.
So maybe a tighter crop in this case.
Tighter crop
For
would be
showcasing more
better
sky.
and more
And
space
more sky,
and more sky. Yes, so that would look.
And as far as
Much
like
better.
a set of three, I definitely think that the image in the middle, like this,
It looks childish. Yeah, like I would pose
even
kid
with the
like that.
styling and compared to the other two images that are so strong, it's just it's not hitting the spot.
What do you think about image on the left?
I love the image on the left. Here's another image where the horse and or subject were looking at opposite directions, but just the fact that the composition is different,
Composition is good.
it
yeah.
makes it better. Yeah,
I still feel like the the right
it's still it's like make a
corner
decision.
is a little bit
Quarters
too
to the
dark.
right or to the left.
No, but that bottom part
Right,
on
it
the
is
right is a
darkness.
little bit too dark.
But this person, it's a stylistic choice. This person might just be a dark editor,
Yeah, could be.
But where do we draw the line right there? Style is style.
Style is style, and I think it matters, and consistency matters. So it's going to be a tough one, but I think we have a decision.
First impression, I think they're a little bit overexposed to me.
I agree. I think I don't see much of the details. Some of the details are lost because the images are overexposed. And the image in the middle, I really like the patterns, overall composition of it. So that looks very, very good. But the lighting on her face looks flat and there is no catch light. So that's what's bothering me.
But is it overexposed because it's a particular style that the photographer has chosen?
Could be. Some photographers do that. Some natural photographers tend to overexpose just to balance the exposure. Could be the style, but that's the downside of it.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of transition to me between the shadows and highlights and midtones, so it ends up falling flat for me just a little bit.
In terms of posing the image on the left, I feel like that arm is blending with the body of the model, so that bothers me a lot. And the image on the right, I don't see her hand, so that's kind of cut by the ear of
you kind of
horse.
see 2 fingers just kind of sticking out.
But I think the rest looks good.
Definitely the middle one is by far my favorite.
The strongest one for sure.
Very good composition. I mean, builds up the frame, the feathers. I really like that.
And what do you guys think about story? Do you feel like there's a story there?
I think, yeah, there's some emotions. The images evoke emotions, and especially, yeah, there's a story with a girl that's walking in the desert, definitely. The girl on the right, she is wondering, I guess, about something. You're the expert in the story, so you tell us.
No, I agree with everything you guys have said, and I think we agreed with their final decision.
Yes.
I stole Maria's cape just for this moment because, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to announce our top 12 photographers.
When I first saw the image, my eyes just, wow.
This is so hard. Okay.
Congratulations. You are the winner of